Welcome to Personal Finance Mastery for You. In today's video, we'll be diving into 4 steps to build generational wealth, just like the wealthy do. Whether you are just starting up to build from the scratch or you are trying to level your financial game, these 4 steps will help you to set a strong financial foundation for your long-term prosperity. Ready to secure your financial future? Let's get started. Why does it feel so hard to build wealth, even though you've worked so hard all your life? What I'm going to share with you today is the reason the top 20% are able to control 80% of the world resources. That might also be the reason over $100 trillion is being transferred by the baby boomers generation globally to their children and grandchildren. And I guess you are not one of the beneficiaries. That might also be the reason you are struggling today financially. Perhaps you have to start building your wealth from the scratch. So, you see, my friend, wealth is intergenerationally created. Most people who get rich didn't get wealthy in a lifetime. So for the rich, they have to save their way through wealth building, then pass it on to the next generation. The problem we have today is we are more concerned with instant gratification. What we are going to eat today and how we're going to look good today, more than what the next generation will be. Every time we do that, we are indirectly stealing into the future and robbing the next generation of the opportunity to start on a fair ground. Compared to their contemporaries, most of them, they've inherited wealth in hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, even tens of millions of dollars from the life insurance plan of their parents. Now you wonder why some people have to struggle all their life and the cycle starts again with the next generation. The problem is we are not even interested in talking about this. We just believe that the next generation will take care of itself. We are subconsciously setting a standard for the next generation to start the survivor mindset, having to start all over again from the scratch to build wealth. The question is, how did we get here in the first place? You see, it's not your fault if you're born into a family that didn't plan ahead or transfer any wealth to you. It's not your fault that you were sent to an educational system that didn't teach you anything about wealth building. But whose fault will it be if you choose not to do anything about it? Talking about the educational system, you see, the educational system that we currently practice is in 2 dimensions. First is the informal, then the second is the formal. So our parents are the first teachers that we had, and they're the ones that taught you your moral values, your mannerism, your family culture. So these are all things that have shaped you up to become the person you've been today. And then when it was time, they send you to the formal education system, the school system, hoping that you're going to get a good job after school so you can settle down and have a pension plan that will take care of your future. And in most cases, the parents hope that you will be able to support them when they're old from the education they have sent you to acquire. But then the reality sets in. The first thing is you're made to fall in line with the system, the program they have set up, the syllabus, the curriculum that they've had in place to indoctrinate you into a way of thinking. Let's look at the genesis of the educational system. You see, during the advent of the Industrial Revolution era, which started somewhere around 1750 AD, The concern was that more manufacturing facilities and plants were being set up, but they have less people with the skills that's required to man these facilities. So it became a big problem for the merchants of industries. Most of the people at the time were from the previous era where people were used to agriculture as the means of livelihood. But then the new revolution came, the Industrial Revolution. The skill sets that is required has changed, but there are no people to do this task. There's this particular man, or a man, somewhere around 1837, he came up with an idea, having studied the Prussian system, whereby they have an organized society where everyone has been programmed to fall in line. And he built this system in a way so when they go through the programming system of the school, they can get into the factories, the manufacturing plants, and be able to put those skills to work. But the problem is, the time has changed. The industrial era has passed, but the school system hasn't changed. The school system is still stuck in the industrial age curriculum. Now you wonder why so many people today are living on the survivor mindset. Perhaps the question you want to ask is, why is it so hard to build generational wealth? If there's one thing the wealthy class knows, and knows so well, is the fact that you cannot build wealth unless you build a solid financial foundation. It's like building a house. You have to build from ground up, right? So you see, building wealth is like building a house. You can't build wealth without building a solid financial foundation. So how do you build a house? Let's look at it from this way. This is you. Let's say this is you. You're on the level playing ground, which is the survivor ground. So here in ground zero, everything just stays the same. You struggle from hands to mouths. You make money, you pay bills, and that is it. Everything just stays the same. But the moment you say, oh, let me build wealth, I want to build wealth, a legacy for me and my family, this picture comes to your mind. It's like building a house. Wealth is a building. It starts from the mindset. When you want to build a house, you have to conceptualize it. You think about the kind of house you want to build. Then you meet with an architect. So you see, to come up with a design for you. When you have a design approved, then you can bring it to the 3 dimension in the real space, whereby they have to build it from ground up, right? But the problem we're having today is so many people want to build wealth just because they started making income and they have access to the medias. And then they hear crypto, stocks, forex, and they want to start by investing. Now they start working, they have a job, you have a job. And the next thing you want to do is you want to invest. You want to buy cryptocurrency. You want to have a crypto wallet. You want to buy stocks because they advertise stocks. People are cashing out from stocks trading. They can trade on the app, on their phones. There's ads, real estate, buy 2, get 1 free, buy 3, get 2 free. Now you want to invest. You're from the ground, on the survival ground, where you're just surviving. Now you want to invest. So now you are going to be jumping from the ground to the top. Because in order to build wealth, there are steps. Those are the 4 steps we'll be talking about today on this video. You don't want to build from up. You want to build your wealth with a solid foundation. What would a solid foundation in building wealth look like? The first thing to do when trying to build wealth is to build down. Like building a house, you want to build the foundation first. And when you're building a foundation, you don't start building it up. You want to dig into the ground so you can plant a structure in place. The deeper you're able to build, the more solid your foundation is that will hold the structure in place, right? It's the same thing when it comes to building generational wealth. You want a solid structure that can hold your wealth portfolio. No matter what happens, you're going to be solid. And that's your protection. One, having a proper protection in place. You see, I remember as a child growing up in 1982, my dad was working as an engineer with a big corporation that's into broadcasting back in Nigeria. At the time, my dad was so excited in 1982 that he has been able to build his first house, real estate, a property in his hometown. So he was so excited. He invited all the neighbors, his friends, even his colleagues at work, and he even provided transportation to get them on board so they can go celebrate his housewarming with him in his hometown. So that weekend, the buses were there, everybody hopped in, and they conveyed everyone to the hometown where they did a grand ceremony. People had a lot of fun, wine and dine, and after the party, they had their transport back to their different locations. The following week, my dad just came back from his trip. He was so excited to go to the work, feeling so excited. Then he was welcomed with a shock at his workplace. He got a sack letter. And the reason was the government of the day at the time was downsizing. So they were trying to reduce the number of employees in their payroll. And it just so happened that my dad's name was shortlisted among those that they have to let go. So the shock was so bad that I don't think my dad ever recovered from that incident. He had to resort to joining hands with his wife, my mom's, in running a local mom and pop store. I grew up learning business with them. I helped them in running the business as a child growing up. And I learned my first lesson in life. There is no job security in a job that you do not own. Okay, fast forward to 2007, my dad passed. And although he had a couple of properties here and there, but there was no significant wealth transfer from his generation to mine. Yes, houses. But of what value is a house that the kids are not going to live in when they grow up? And the chances of taking an equity from that house to do business too is not even there. So that leaves me to start from the scratch, trying to build the wealth from ground up. Now, let's compare my experience with the experience of a different family. And this is one of the wealthiest family that's known in history. I'm talking about the Rockefeller family and how they are able to secure their wealth and transfer it from generation to generation. Let's meet John Rockefeller and his wife Laura Spellman. John Rockefeller was born around 1839 in New York, in the US. He became so wealthy that he founded the Standard Oil and became one of the richest oil magnates in his time. He controlled over 90% of the oil business at that time, and he was so successful. So what did he do? How did he preserve his wealth? The first thing Rockefeller did was he got a life insurance plan, cash value life insurance, a permanent life insurance with cash value over his life and his wife, and he had the same over all his children and the grandchildren. Every member of your family has a cash value life insurance. And guess what? He set up a trust, a family trust, and this trust owned all the life insurance policy. The trust became the owner and beneficiary of all the life insurance over their life. All the life insurance goes straight to the family trust. What this means is, as the cash keep increasing, the insurance keep growing. If any member of the family passes, the death benefit goes into the same account that the trust owns. So the account keeps growing, more money keeps coming in, and don't forget, the cash value keeps growing as they are living, and if anyone passes, the money goes straight to the trust account. And what that means is, death benefit from life insurance is tax-free, so it comes in block. So much money was in the family trust. This eventually became their family bank. If any member of the family wants to go into business, they do not need to go to the bank to get money. They just come to the trust account and get money to do business. So they can do business by accessing money directly from the family trust. If they want to buy a car, they get money from the trust to buy a car. They want to buy a house, they get money from the trust to buy a house. And that's how the family keeps growing their wealth over time. If you think this might be an important strategy in your wealth building journey, reach out to a financial advisor. They can advise you on the best way in your own specific situation. So back to our building a financial foundation. Number one, proper protection. And what's this proper protection? Is you have to protect your income, your health, and your assets. And how do you protect your income, your health, and your assets? The vehicle to use to do this is life insurance, which is the foundation of your wealth building. This helps you to create future income. You create wealth, your wealth creation. You create wealth into the future and increases your net worth by paying a little premium. No matter what happens, you've locked in a net worth that you don't currently have, but you've created it to the future, which you're going to pass to your team members, your kids, your spouse, your family. Number two, after you finish building a foundation, the next thing you want to do in your journey to wealth creation is you want to build a structure. You want to have a frame in place where you can build your wealth. So the frame in this case, number two, the frame is managing your debts. You want to manage your debts. Let's say this is you and you're thinking you need money to do a lot of things and you don't currently have that money. And then on the TV, on the newspaper, on your social media, the banks, they're advertising, come and take credits, come and take loan, payday loan, fast money, credit card, line of credits, different kind of credits that they want to give you so you can pay for the things you want that you don't have the money to afford. You apply for a loan. The banks give you a debt facility you can make use of to fulfill your desire. Have you ever heard that a debt is a two-edged sword? Yes, a sword. And this is the debt that you've been given by the bank. It's a sword with two edges. Depends on which side of the edge you're using. You can either use the first edge or the second edge, but both of them have two different implications. Let's say you want to buy your designer's clothes, look good, your Gucci. And then you take up a credit card and then you spend to buy stuffs that you need. Then you realize you need a car. You go to dealership and they check your credit score. You have a good credit score and they said, okay, they can finance the car for you and create a payment plan. Now you get a car loan. And then you have a dream house in mind that you want to buy, but you don't have the cash to pay out for that house. So you go to the bank through a mortgage broker. You got an approval, a mortgage approval to buy your dream house. And they gave you a mortgage to finance it. That mortgage could be 25 to 30 years amortization period where you have to pay the loan plus the interest that they've given you. Now you're in your dream house. Now you have a credit card debt, which can get as much as 29% interest rate. You have a car loan payment, your car notes, and then you have your mortgage. These are all consumer debts. What they do is at the end of the month, your credit cards, your car notes, and your mortgage takes money out of your pocket, and they are all liabilities. So this is what you don't want to do with a debt. Consumer debt is what you don't want. But on the other side of the sword, you can take these debts and finance a business. You could buy a startup business. You could buy an existing business. You could finance your own business and scale it using debt. And you could buy multi-family real estate, wholesale real estate, whereby you rent it out to tenants and the tenants pays your mortgage. The cash flow that comes from your property becomes money that's coming to your pocket. Why? The dividends and interest and bonus you get from investing in a business becomes cash positive that comes to your pockets. These are what we call producer debts. And why? The liabilities of your consumer debt takes money out of your pockets. Your producer debts puts money into your pocket, which is an asset. So what you want to do is to get out as fast as you can from consumer debts. You want to make sure you pay off your credit cards and all those debts and be able to start using debts to build wealth. So you see, debt is a two-edged sword. You see that you get debts to work for you, or debt by itself will keep working against you. So if you know of anyone that's been able to master this art, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Go to the comment section. And in case you're new to this channel, subscribe, like, and share the content if you find it beneficial to you in any way, so others can also benefit from it. That brings us to the next stage. And the next stage in the building is stage 3. After you've built your proper foundation and you've built the frame of the building, you want to get to the lintel before the roof. That's the third stage. And what's this stage about, and how important is this third stage? In my last video, I shared a story about a young couple, Yetunde and Alimi, who got married in Nigeria, then moved to Canada to further their education. They eventually decided to make Canada their home. So they have 2 kids right after the pandemic. But because it was very delicate for them to take care of their kids, one of the couple, the woman, had to stay behind Yetunde, while the husband, Alimi, had to take up a second job and then resort to driving Uber to supplement the income to keep the family going. Eventually, one day, Alimi woke up and realized he was sick. Even though he wanted to go to work, it just didn't work. So he eventually found himself in the hospital. At the time, he couldn't go to work to make any money, and his wife wasn't working. But the bills wouldn't stop coming. So how were this couple able to sustain paying their bills before it gets to a crescendo? And that's what we're talking about, emergency fund. In your quest to build a solid financial foundation, you need to have an emergency fund in place. And what this means is you're supposed to have 3 to 6 months of your income. That's the formula. 3 to 6 months of income saved up for emergency, just in case. Picture a situation whereby you're not able to work as you currently do. How long do you think it will take you and your household to survive? I asked this question once. Someone said 1 month. They don't think they can survive beyond 1 month. Someone else says maybe 2 weeks. They don't know. They're not sure because they've never thought about it. And I was surprised when someone said, if I don't go out to hustle, I'm not going to survive. That is ground zero level. Survivor without any building blocks in place. Now, this is the problem. What if you are going to work and you're driving in your car? Then suddenly your car starts to jerk, and by the time you pull over, you realize your car engine has knocked. Don't forget, your car knocking or engine is not part of your comprehensive insurance plan. How would you get the money to finance replacing an engine for your car or replacing your car if you don't have an emergency fund in place? Okay, let's say you don't have a car, but at least you're living in a house, and then suddenly, one stormy evening, the wind blew and blew and blew away the roof from your house. And then you realize you have a family to protect, but you don't have a roof over your house. What if it rains or the weather gets so bad? How are you going to protect your family? You need to go into your emergency funds to take money to quickly solve those problems that are emergency. Otherwise, you don't want to go borrowing money to solve problems that you should have saved up to solve. Because borrowing more money will bring you back to more debts, consumer debts. And that's where you don't want to go, right? The rule of thumb is 3 to 6 months of your income saved up in a safe account. I usually advise 6 to 12 months of your income because you never can tell. And if you have been able to build from ground up to the lintel level, thumbs up, you've done very well. The only thing remaining now is you need a roof over your financial house that you're building. So how do you secure a roof over the house? So this is number 4, the roof. My friend Lisa grew up in a very nice environment. Her parents were working class Americans doing very well in their career. And just like everyone else, when they start making money, they needed to invest. The dad also invested into real estate and it was doing pretty well. Then suddenly in 2021, just right after the pandemic, the dad passed. The family was in disarray. Lisa and her 4 siblings were all in shock. Before they could say Jack Robinson, the mom passed. That was another big shocker to the family, trying to cope with the exigencies of the initial shock. Now they have another one to deal with. Then it was time for them to take possession of their dad's investments and assets, knowing fully well that he was an investor. That's where they met the shock. They realized that all the assets that their dad had to go through the probate. You might ask why? Because their dad, being an investor, would take a mortgage from the bank, buy a property and put a tenant there and rent it out. Although he had a will in place to make sure his family benefits from all that he has done, but there was an error in his estate plan. He forgot one. He didn't have a proper protection in place. He didn't have a life insurance in his estate plan to protect his assets and his income. So when he passed, his assets was open for contesting because there was no life insurance payment to pay off the cost of each of those mortgages. So his family can own the properties. Survivor, you might say. The man passed away in 2021. Up to today, as I speak, 2025, 4 years after, his children, his team members, his generation after are still going to the probate courts to seek possession of their dad's assets. And that has cost the family so much. They've paid so much probate administrative fees, so much legal fees. The bills just keep going. And it seemed like there's no end in sight to this dilemma for the family. Just because he made a mistake for not including life insurance, a proper protection for his assets, his estates. So that brings us to number 4, investments. Investments is what you do safely having completed these 3 steps. You don't want to build a house from the top. You want to build a house ground up. You dig in, protect your finance, your health, and your assets. Then you build up before you invest. So when you talk about investments, there are a whole lot of investment vehicles and they are all fantastic. Stocks, cryptos, real estates, commodities, equities, bonds, and the list goes on. These are areas of investment. The problem is most people want to invest from the top. They want to start their wealth building from the top, forgetting that most of these investments are in circles. There's going to be a time where the circle is going to be down. The market could crash. These are things that could possibly go wrong. And when this happens, it erodes all the gains in the investments. When that happens, if you don't have a proper structure in place, you're going to fall from the roof back to survival ground, level 0, and you start hustling again to build up. And that has been the mindset and this experience of most people when it comes to wealth building. They start at the wrong point. So these are the 4 important steps to building generational wealth. You want to build from ground up. You want to have a proper protection in place. You want to manage your debts, especially your consumer debts. And you want to have an emergency fund just in case, and then you can go ahead and invest, because no matter what happens, you can walk confidently knowing you've taken care of all the building blocks to protect your financial nests from cracking. And there you have it. 4 powerful steps to start building generational wealth, just like the wealthy do. It's all about having a proper protection in place, having debts work for you and not against you, securing an emergency funds just in case, and making those smart investment decisions for you and your future generation. Now it's your turn. The path to wealth isn't a sprint, it is a marathon. The baton is in your hands, so you're expected to pass it to your next generation, your team members, your family, your loved ones, those looking up to you for their future aspirations. Don't leave them in the survivor mindsets. So if you are ready to start building a legacy today, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and let me know in the comment section which steps you're going to start with from the 4 steps we just mentioned. Remember, wealth isn't just about what you make, it's about what you leave behind. Let's make it happen. Catch you in the next video. Ciao.